Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video, I'm actually very excited because this is one of the biggest builds I've done in a very long time. I'm actually building a villa in the world of Sulani on, oh gosh, I never know how big the lots are that I'm building on. I think this might be a 40 by 30, but I'm not actually sure. It's a bigger lot and we're definitely using the entire lot for this build because it turned out to be pretty massive. Not so massive where it's not good for gameplay anymore, but you know, pretty massive regardless. I felt like I found a good middle ground there, but you'll see when it comes together. And I actually built this one before I had access to The Sims 4 Adventure Awaits, but I built it with Adventure Awaits in mind. Also, by the way, happy Adventure Awaits release day. It gets released today, which is very exciting. I'm so glad that everyone's gonna have access to this pack now. I love testing out the pack and using it in early access and seeing what it's all about and sharing that with my community. But what I love even more is when everyone else gets access to it and we can actually share our experiences and ideas. So, you know, that's just very exciting to me. So I'm happy it's gonna get released soon. Also, happy almost the life of a showgirl day. It's a very big week for a lot of us here. If you're not a Swiftie, then it's fine, don't mind it. But you know, it's a big week. I am very excited. Anyway, back to the build. Yes, I built this with Adventure Awaits in mind, but actually without the actual pack, which is fine because the style I was going for here isn't really included in The Sims 4 Adventure Awaits anyway. So, you know, I was just fine building this entire thing without the pack. We're building in Sulani. I'm going for, it's kind of like a weird mixture of styles actually, because the exterior of this is more Mediterranean inspired, but then the interior is going to be more like modern, almost like kind of like retro modern in a way, but also just like contemporary modern in other places. So, you know, it's a little bit of a weird mixture of styles, of vibes, but I do think it really came together nicely. I use a lot of Love Struck for this one. That really came in handy. You'll see once we get to the bedrooms for this one. You know, it's a little crazy is all I'm gonna say. I haven't even told you yet what this is for. So this build is going to be a romantic contest getaway venue. I think that is hysterical. I think that is so much fun. With The Sims 4 Adventure Awaits, you can do all kinds of getaways and such. You can also build all kinds of custom venues, but you can also do all kinds of getaways. And one of the presets that they have is a romance competition where just a bunch of singles are going to go on this getaway, and then every day one sim gets eliminated. And I just think that is so fun. You can basically just play Love Island, and that's why today we're building a Love Island inspired villa. I think it's so much fun. I actually did some gameplay with the romantic contest getaway in early access with this pack, and I had so much fun with it. You can basically fill it in however you want. The way I did it is that I even set it so that married couples could also enter, and then you can add extra rules where Sims don't get jealous when there's like romantic interactions going on with other Sims. So so you can make it very hysterical, and I just think that is so much fun, and it definitely adds another layer of gameplay to The Sims. So I actually built it with that specific getaway in mind. And then you can actually set this as a custom venue, of course, if you want to. I didn't do that. I just set it as a residential. I didn't have the pack yet when I was building this and uploading it, so it's just as a residential. But I do think the more that I think about it, the more I think it would be so much fun to actually play as the host of the romantic getaway. And the way that you can do that is you can just set this as a residential and have your sim live in this villa. And their full-time job would just be like to host romantic competition getaways or whatever. So when you're playing as the sim that lives here in this residential with the getaway system, you can just start a getaway. You can just plan a getaway through the calendar or through the phone. And then when you do it on your own residential lot, you can set yourself as the host And you can just assign roles to other Sims, or you could just have randomized Sims fill in the roles that you set up for the Getaway. You can create the whole like schedule and set up the activities for everyone to do. It is just so much fun. Obviously, at the end of this speed build, I will go into the game and one, give you a tour of this build, but two, I also want to show you what it would look like if you were to set up this Getaway from a host's point of view. I think that is just going to be so much fun. It's definitely something I want to try out for myself as well, because I've only done Getaways so far in early access. I've done Getaways from the, you know, the guest's point of view, but I think it'd be so much fun to actually do it from the host's point of view as well. And I do think that that way you actually make a little bit of money from it too. So you could potentially like set your own house as a bed and breakfast. Maybe when you build it yourself, you can make it in a way where there is like a living quarters kind of area that is for your Sims to live. And then the rest of the house is basically just like the bed and breakfast. And then you can run a Getaway from your home lot as the host and make a little bit of money that way. So I really want to try that out for myself as well. I think it's just so much fun. And the more I've been playing with it, the more I've been getting used to the idea of Getaways and how you can utilize them even in your everyday gameplay, where you just send your kids off to grandma's house. I will say I do think what happens is it still counts as a Getaway when you do like everyday things like that, like sending your kids to their other parents' house or to their grandparents' house or whatever. I think it's still gonna cost you a little bit of money to like pay for the Getaway, but it's okay. We can just pretend that that is not the case, or maybe cheat the money back. You know, I feel like there's ways around that, but I feel like the Getaway system is gonna be just like the club system from Get Together, where you can just, yes, you can use it for like vacations and like sending your kids to camp and stuff like that, but you can also use it for everyday things. Like I mentioned, sending your kids to their other parents' home or their grandparents' home for the weekend or whatever. Just like with the club system where, yes, you can set up clubs for Sims to come together and do hobbies, but you can also create like a family club so that you have your entire extended family just bundled together in a club, and you can easily start gatherings for like a weekly family dinner or whatever. So I feel like the Getaway system is just the equivalent of that, but like in a different way, if that makes sense. So I'm really excited to have it in the game and to see also what other players can come up with, because so many people, like everyone's creativity is off the charts and everyone's creativity is so different. So I can't wait to be inspired by other players and what they do and how they use the Getaway system. I'm really excited. If you have any specific ideas for like specific things that you want to do with the Getaway system, let me know in the comments down below, because I'm very excited to learn more and to learn from others as well. Also, just a little shameless promo here. If you are going to order The Sims 4 Adventure Awaits, you could always use my creator code SimmarySims at checkout in the EA app. It is not a discount code, but it is a free way for you to support me and my content. And that really goes a long way, because I am one more work week away from becoming a full-time content creator, and I'm so excited. So yeah, that means more videos, hopefully on YouTube as well, and more streams potentially on Twitch, and you know, all the things, just professionalizing and turning this into a little bit more of a business even, you know, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, if you are gonna order this new pack, then you could always consider using my creator code SimmarySims. It makes it so that I get a small commission when you order. So yeah, it goes a long way and it means the world. So, you know, thank you for that. And yeah, back to the build, I guess. So here you can see I was definitely struggling a little bit with the floor plan. It took me a hot minute to figure this out, because this is a Love Island inspired villa, and I wanted there to be enough activities for everyone to do. I wanted there to be a gym, a sauna, a living room with like a TV for them to play games maybe. Obviously a gym, like I said. I wanted there to be a nice kitchen. And then obviously there has to be a pool with a bunch of floaties. There has to be a hot tub. There has to be a bar. Multiple, actually. We have a bar outside and we have a bar inside as well. And there have to be a lot of bedrooms even. I think I made space for 8 guests total, or singles, or whatever you want to call them. There's only double beds though, so I feel like that just adds a little bit of extra drama to the whole thing, where Sims are gonna have to share a bed, and it's up to them who's gonna sleep in bed with who each night, and maybe someone doesn't want to sleep with anyone in the same bed, and then they're just gonna have to sleep on the couch or whatever. You know, I feel like it just kind of adds a layer of drama that is kind of funny. I wonder how that is gonna play out actually when you do gameplay, because I do think Sims need to have a specific you know, level of a relationship, be it friendly or romantic, before they can actually share a bed before they want to. So I wonder how that's gonna play out. Maybe it's just a bunch of Sims sleeping on floaties in the pool. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It would be kind of funny actually. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. And then there is also a bed for the host, but it's a little awkward because the host is gonna have to either claim a bedroom for their own, or there's one bedroom that is a shared bedroom with 2 double beds, because that is just how the floor plan worked out. And then I thought about it and I was like, that is actually so funny. So there's this one awkward bedroom where 4 Sims are actually gonna have to share it, and like it's really strange. Or the host can sleep in one of those beds and then another like couple or 2 singles sleep in the other bed in that room. I don't really know. Or you could, like I said, have the host claim a full-on room for themselves, and then they have that for themselves, which is kind of nice too. And then, like I said, there's just gonna be a bunch of activities for them to do. They can hang out at the bar, they can sit in the hot tub, they can do a bunch of swimming. There is a gym, a sauna, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I think just a bunch of socializing and a lot of drama throughout the day. They could also just go to the beach. This is in Sulani. You could probably tell this is in Sulani. And I think when you walk down the hill, there's like a beach, and Sims can just go swimming in the ocean, swim with dolphins. You know, it's a very nice setting, very tropical. And I built it on this lot that's kind of on a hill. And it's really nice. I don't really build on this lot very often. I don't know why, because it is absolutely gorgeous. For the screenshots and stuff, and for gameplay in general, I actually rotated it around so it faces the ocean, which makes way more sense because the way I'm building it right now, it actually faces a mountain, and that's not the greatest view. You want the view on the other side over the ocean. That is way prettier. So the way I built this, I decided to rotate it, and it looks so much prettier rotated. But on the gallery, it's actually the right way around. Other way, you wouldn't really get a thumbnail for the gallery that worked. That would just be a little bit sad. You could just see the back of it, and the back of this lot is pretty sad because I built it all the way against the back of the lot. So it's just like a flat wall with a bunch of windows. So obviously for the gallery, I wanted you to be able to see what this actually looks like. So I placed it this way around, like the right way around on the gallery, but I highly recommend actually rotating it completely so that it faces the ocean and you just have a really nice view, even when you're like in the pool. I think that would just be so nice and dreamy. But yeah, you can really see this build come together. I had so much fun with the exterior for this. I remember I was looking at a picture for inspiration for this that was like a really nice mid-century, no, not a mid-century, a Mediterranean inspired build. It wasn't as big as this one though, and I quickly let go of the picture already, but it was something to get me started. And it's just basically like the shape of the main building with that one bump out kind of in the middle that makes it a little bit more symmetrical in a way. And then I just added a bunch of bump outs to it on the side as well. And yeah, I don't know, I think the style for this is really fun. It's not normally a style I go for when I'm building in Sulani. Usually I like to go for either like a contemporary modern type of style or something a little bit more traditional, you know, the traditional Hawaiian or like Sulani style that you can kind of see around in this world, if that makes sense, but never really Mediterranean. I do feel like it works for this one though, because this lot is pretty, I was gonna say isolated. It's not necessarily isolated because it's close by other buildings and stuff, but it's on its own hill basically. So it kind of makes sense for it to be a little bit more of a dramatic type of house on this very exclusive kind of lot, I feel. I think that makes sense. And it was kind of fun to build something completely different here that I wouldn't normally do. So yeah, that was kind of a fun change of pace and just something to try out. And it is definitely a very dramatic build. with a lot going on. I'm specifically excited about the pool because there's an area where it goes kind of to the inside of the house. So it's like an indoor, outdoor kind of pool. It isn't closed off or anything, but there is that very dramatic kind of staircase out of platforms going from the inside of the house to the pool, and then you can enter the pool essentially from the inside of the house, and then you can swim to the outside. I don't know, it's a little dramatic, but I do like it. I've never really done a pool in that sense, and I'm also really happy still that we have the curved edges for pools. It makes such a difference. It just makes pools look so much prettier and like less angular, and it just gives a lot more opportunities, and it makes it look a little bit softer. So that was really fun to try here as well. And then for the landscaping, I didn't really have a lot of space left for landscaping because I'm utilizing basically the entire lot for this massive monstrosity of a house. So there wasn't really a lot of space left for anything, but I just tried to, you know, blend it in with the rest of the world to the best of my abilities. I used a lot of debug plants from the Island Living expansion pack, so I feel like that really worked. And then since it's just like a grass lot and it doesn't really have a bordering pathway or anything, I decided to just use a lot of sand and essentially create a little beach out front by the pool and stuff. I don't know, to just kind of blend it in a little bit seamless. And I feel like it worked out nicely. I think the sand really ties it into the rest of Sulani, so I feel like that really worked out nicely. I also love that tree in the middle of the pool. I kind of created that little island there, and I placed a palm tree with a bunch of little waterfall statue thingies from the, I think it's the Riviera Retreat kit, right? I felt like that really, really worked out for this one. So I placed a couple of those around the pool to make it look a little bit more tropical and natural. And the floaties were so much fun. I could finally use that whale floaty. For some reason, I never end up using that whale floaty because it never really matches the vibes of what I'm building. But for this one, I felt like a bright pink or like a hot pink whale floaty was exactly what I needed. So I obviously placed that. We also have the pizza floaty and then like a regular floaty. I don't know, I felt like the pink was a really nice touch for this build. I also placed a neon light out front that I repeated a bunch of times in the house itself as well. That neon light, I think, is a sized up light from, is it the Comfy Gamer kit? I'm not exactly sure. I think it is, and I sized it up and it worked really nicely as like a logo or a sign for whatever competition is going on here. So I placed that outside and then I used it inside. I repeated it inside as well to kind of keep that same like brand going, I guess. So that's what I did. And then outside, we also have a bunch of areas for Sims to hang out. I wanted there to be a lot of opportunities for Sims to hang out together, you know, maybe in separate little groups, so they don't have to be together all the time. But yeah, there's lots of opportunities for them to hang out. So out here we have a bar. We have a nice 8-seater dining table where I feel like they would have mandatory dinner together every night or something like that to kind of talk about things or whatever. I feel like there would have to be like forced moments for them to come together, because I was thinking of this as like a TV show too. And it's crazy because I've never ever watched a single minute of Love Island or any show like Love Island. I've never seen that type of show. It's just not something that piques my interest. It's not something that I gravitate towards watching. So I literally never seen it before. But somehow when I realized that this is now a thing that we can do with The Sims 4 Adventure Awaits, I was like, hold on, I have to dive into this. I have to build something for this. I want to play through something like this. It's so funny because it's not an interest of mine at all. I would never watch Love Island by myself, or, you know, it's just not something that I would ever gravitate towards. But somehow I feel like in The Sims, this kind of chaos just attracts me. I think it's so much fun to do, and it's so much fun to build for. So I didn't really have any TV show that I was going off of. I mean, I called it a Love Island inspired villa because that is essentially what it is. Not because it literally looks like a villa from the show Love Island, but because of the concept behind it all, you know what I mean? So that's kind of why I went for that. I felt like when you say Love Island, I feel like people immediately get the vibe and they understand what you're trying to do. So I feel like that's just working. But yeah, I've never actually seen that show, not a single minute of it. Let me know in the comments, have you? Is it something I should give a go? I don't know. Or maybe I should just stick to the Sims version of it all. I'm not exactly sure. But I did play through it, like I said, in early access on stream, and it was so much fun because I just had a married couple go on a romantic competition getaway. And like I said, I set that rule where, for one, obviously there's going to be one sim eliminated each day, but then also I have that rule where no one's jealous of anyone. So romantic interactions, if you have married couples, they won't get jealous when they flirt with someone else. So that was really helpful. And it was very dramatic too, because I had the land grabs there, I had the goths there, all the couples, you know, just to try out what it would be all about. I had the pancakes there as well. And it was so funny because one of my sims, the husband, he actually got romantically involved. Well, you know, with everyone, but specifically with Jeffrey Landgrab, also with Nancy Landgrab, and they actually tried for a baby. I don't think Nancy ended up pregnant, but you know, that just goes to show that is the amount of chaos that you can cause. I absolutely love this. I didn't actually finish the romantic getaway, so I'm not sure what happens to those romantic relationships afterwards. If it stays that way, I feel like it will, but that's going to be even more dramatic because out in the real world, obviously that would cause issues because then the jealousy is back on, you know, and then we're just back to normal life. But then when my sim runs into Nancy Landgrab and they still have this romantic relationship going on, you know, that's going to be a little problematic. So it's kind of, you can just cause all types of chaos, or you can obviously also play this with singles and not with married or, you know, couples that are actually together. So that would be a little bit less chaotic in that sense, maybe. But I think it just adds a layer of drama when you do have like married couples. I don't know. I like to cause chaos in The Sims. It follows me around in this game. For some reason, this just sparked something. But yeah, you can see that we have moved on to the interior of this build, and I really like it. I definitely stuck with the color pink. So there's a lot of pink in this build, not in an annoying kind of overly colorful way, but there's definitely a lot of pink in here and just neon colors in general. I'm obsessed with the Get Famous tiger rug that I'm using in the living room. I love it. I don't think I've ever used that rug in that particular swatch before. I just don't think I have. I've been tempted to, but I never actually have. And I think it looks so good in here, especially with that huge modular couch from Dream Home Decorator. I think that looks really good. And that is really where the kind of retro aspect comes into play as well, with that couch. And then the fireplace that I used and the coffee table. I think it just looks really, really cool. And then we have that rounded bar from Love Struck in here as well. That just worked out so fun because the space is really big. I did break it up with essentially a staircase in the middle and then a fireplace on the other side with a little, you know, platform kind of situation, like a wall in the middle. So I do think that breaks it up really nicely. But yeah, I love the spaciousness of it all. And then the modern slash Mediterranean slash kind of retro aspects within this like, you know, furnishing style that I went for. I think it looks really, really cool. And Love Struck was obviously a lifesaver for the entire interior for this. I'm using a lot of Love Struck art. And just wait until we get to the bedrooms. The bedrooms are absolutely diabolical. I use a lot of Love Struck. Obviously, I used only hard beds. Only hard beds allowed, and I used a lot of animal print wallpapers and all that kind of stuff. Each room has the same furniture essentially, but they just have a different color scheme or animal print style on the wall, you know? So it's a little busy and like chaotic in that extent, but it definitely works out for the entire vibe that I was going for here. So yeah, here in the living room, I wanted there to be a bunch of things to do. So we have a TV set up in a way where they can also play games. Obviously, I had to use that Love Struck card game. So I placed a couple of those on the coffee table so Sims can sit and play those. We also have a piano here. I don't know why, but I thought that would just like fit the vibe. There is a bar here. There is an invisible dance floor and a record player. That invisible dance floor was perfect because you can't really see it when you go to live mode, but Sims can dance obviously on it, and I placed it by the record player, so that was nice. There's a karaoke machine kind of hidden by the bar as well, so Sims can play some karaoke over there. I feel like there's just a bunch of activities for them to do and for them to cause a little bit of chaos here during the day or night or whenever they want to do anything. So yeah, I feel like that just worked out really nicely. And then I did make use of some platforms here because this house is so large and kind of open. I tried to close off spaces, but essentially it's like a really big open space. And I was playing around here with the kitchen, so I decided to go with a one-step kind of like lower platform to sort of section it off. And what I really like about this kitchen is the floor, because I just chose to continue the floor that I'm using outside on the patio. I used that same stone floor here on the inside in the kitchen to kind of make it blend together seamlessly, so that it really looks like the bar outside is just like an extension of the kitchen. And I think that turned out so cool. I've never actually used this particular floor on the inside of a build. It's not really supposed to go on the inside of a build maybe, but I think for a tropical build like this, where I specifically because I made use of like open bifold doors and everything, it just really flows together nicely. And then that modern black kitchen and the gray and black tiles for the backsplash, it is just normally not really a combination I would ever go for, but I just love how it ended up looking here because this house it's just a little extra. It's a little bit extra, there's a lot going on, and I feel like I can get away with combinations of things and textures that I normally wouldn't really do. So I feel like it looked really good in here. Then for the kitchen, I didn't clutter it up too much because I felt like, I feel like this house, just a house like this wouldn't be too cluttered. There would be stuff around maybe, but I don't think it would be too cluttered because it's very neat and tidy and modern and nice and luxurious. So it's not necessarily super cluttered with a lot of like trinkets everywhere, and I also don't think the Sims would do a lot of cooking. Maybe sometimes, but maybe they would have like a caterer here. Or, now that I think about it, maybe it would add a little extra dramatic aspect if they did have to cook their own dinner or like make sure they have meals every day and they're just gonna have to figure it out. Maybe make teams of whoever's in charge of breakfast that day, whoever's in charge of dinner that day. I feel like that would be kind of fun actually. Don't know how you would necessarily play through that in the game, but it's just kind of a funny thing to think about. Maybe you could just kind of narrate that yourself when you're doing the gameplay. So yeah, a nice kitchen that is not too cluttered, but definitely modern. And then on the other side of the house here, obviously we had to go for a gym. Now, I didn't have access to adventure weights when I was building this gym, and that was frustrating to me because I really wanted to place those spinning bikes. I thought the spinning bikes, or at least a couple of them, would have been perfect for this gym, especially also the free weights that your Sims can now use. So if you are going to download this build to play with it for yourself, I highly suggest giving the gym a little bit of a makeover. And well, I mean, obviously you could just replace the weights that I placed, the Lovestruck weights that are decorative. You can obviously just replace those for an actual rack with weights that your Sims can use from Adventure Weights. And then I would get rid of, I don't know what else I would get rid of, but I would definitely make space for at least 2 spinning bikes. I think that would just be a lot of fun to place in here as well. So yeah, I guess that is what I would do. And then bordering on this gym, we have a sauna and a bathroom. There's no toilet in this bathroom. I actually forgot to create space or to make space for a toilet downstairs, but I did make a bathroom. We'll do that in a second. But yeah, here bordering the gym, we just have a really nice shower. I just really like that shower. I think it's gorgeous. And then we just have this vanity kind of setup here with a sink and a wide mirror, and then just, some trinkets, some like makeup and hair kind of clutter items as well. And then there's also a sauna. There's a sauna in here. I thought that would be nice. It makes for a nice additional woohoo spot. I definitely try to include different little woohoo spots. So we have this sauna here. Outside we have one of those picnic blankets from Lovestruck. that your Sims can use for picnics or other things. We have the sauna, like I said. I also placed a storage closet in the little middle section that I will get to in a minute, where I placed a bathroom. So there's a storage closet there. Yeah, that's it, actually. I think that's it. And then obviously we have all the beds upstairs and all the things. So yeah, there's some opportunities there as well, but I really like this bathroom section. I think that looks really pretty. And then there was this hallway area that I just wasn't sure what to do with. This essentially just leads to the outdoors, where we have the hot tub. So this is where your Sims would walk through to get to the hot tub. And when I was decorating this over on stream, someone actually suggested, why don't you do like a little picture opportunity kind of set up in that hallway? And I thought that was so smart. So I just decided to create a beautiful little backsplash, and I set up a camera on a tripod with some lights. So maybe when you're playing through this, you can actually have your Sims take pictures of the singles and then maybe put all the portraits on the wall somewhere, and you like switch them up every time you host a new getaway. I think that'd be kind of funny. And then maybe as Sims get eliminated, you like delete their portraits or something. I think that'd be kind of funny. There's probably an area for that where you can set that up on the wall, like in the living room somewhere. But then here in this middle section, which is where we have the bifold doors out to the pool, I decided to go for a little half bath because, you know, it's just convenient to have a bathroom downstairs as well. So there's one toilet downstairs and then a storage closet. And then I really wasn't sure what else to do with this space, but I decided to go for a little bit of storage. So we have a wine rack, we have a dress up trunk, you know, the one that came with Love Struck. I placed that in there as well, so maybe they can do some silly parties sometimes downstairs too. Each bedroom has one too, by the way. And then I made a bathroom, and then there's a storage closet and a foosball table there as well for a little bit of an extra activity. I thought that would be fun. Then we are moving on to the bedrooms, and these bedrooms are scary. I had such a fun time decorating these bedrooms, but they are crazy. I didn't hold back. I used all the colors and patterns and things that I would normally kind of avoid. Even though I absolutely love this animal print wallpaper from Lovestruck, I think especially combined with other wallpapers, it would be such a fun little accent wallpaper, maybe like in a teen's bedroom or whatever. I just think it would be so much fun. But yeah, for this particular build, I used it in the way where Lovestruck how Lovestruck intends you to use them, and that is for scary bedrooms. So that is what I went for in here. This one's by far the scariest when it comes to the color scheme and the prints and all that. This is the main bedroom that is the nicest, I feel. It's the biggest, and it also has access to a balcony where I placed 2 yoga mats. I wasn't really sure what else to place there. I didn't really want to place anything too big because I just didn't like how it looked for the exterior. I wanted that to be a very clean space. So I just decided to place a couple of yoga mats, and then that's it. But that is definitely the bedroom for the thriving couple in this contest, I feel. That is the nicest one that we have. And then each bedroom has its own wallpaper style and color scheme to go with it. So the second one has a zebra print wallpaper and then a nice lighter pink, softer color scheme going on, a little bit more cutesy in that sense. Also, each bedroom has its own ensuite. I didn't end up recording those because there's a ton of them and it just made it a little bit too repetitive, but I will obviously show you in a minute when we do a tour of the place in real time. But they essentially just have really nice walk-in showers and then a sink and a toilet. They're pretty small and simple, but still very nice and modern and luxurious feeling, so that's what I went for. And then each bedroom essentially just has the same set of furniture in here, but in different colors. I also really like this giraffe print. We were kind of discussing what animal this wallpaper is. I landed on giraffe. There's also a black and white one, which obviously looks like a cow. But then in this colorway, I feel like it's a giraffe, is it not? Maybe it's still a cow? To me, this has always been a giraffe, but by all means, let me know if I'm wrong. But yeah, in there, I went for the giraffe style wallpaper and then the pink and purple color scheme. I also love this one. I think it's such a fun color, the purple and pink together. I don't know, it's again a little bit more cutesy and friendly looking, but I really love it. the bedrooms themselves aren't too cluttered either because, you know, this build is massive. And for playability, I just really wanted to keep an eye on the clutteriness of it all and, you know, how it would run for everyone. So it still has a lot of items. Like, I still didn't want to make it look bare and like not lived in. So it's definitely a little bit cluttered or decorated, I should say. But yeah, I definitely also kept an eye on the amount of things that I placed. So yeah, and then here we have the other bedroom that is a shared room. It's a little weird. This entire situation is a little odd. But it is a tiger bedroom, and I went all out with a tiger print in here and then combined with black. So also this room is a little scary. If you ask me, I think it's a little scary, but I do really like how it turned out. But that is actually it for this build. So let's jump into the game and I'll show you the villa in real time. So here we have the villa in the game. As you can see, I rotated the house around so it actually faces the ocean, which makes so much more sense, I feel like, for this build. So yeah, I guess here we have the facade of the house with just a bunch of spaces really to hang out. Let me unpause this so you can see. Ooh, we have an island welcome wagon. Well, that is interesting. I guess you're welcome here. But I really like this pool. Just look at that with the little waterfalls going. Also on this side, I don't know. I just think it's really dreamy. Bella, why don't you come on over and do a little bit of swimming, please? That would be really nice. Just like show it off a little bit. Over here, we have the hot tub, of course. Everything is play tested, so this should all be functional. Sims can just kind of lounge around. Over here in the corner, kind of hidden away, is where we have that woohoo or picnic blanket, if you will, as well for your Sims to use. Of course, there's a big dining table. There is a hangout space here. I love that coffee table with the fire in the middle. And then over here is a bar and a grill, so like an outdoors kitchen kind of thing. So let's go inside. Bella, where are you? Oh, it takes her a minute, doesn't it, for her to get on over here? I understand. So yeah, when we go inside, essentially this is the front door. So this is where you would walk in and then you just kind of enter right into the living room. So there is a piano here. There's this very dramatic art. I also placed a bunch of these cameras around. I thought that was kind of funny and kind of iconic for like a Love Island type show. Oh, all these people are like in my house? Okay, well, I guess that's fine. Oh, she's swimming. Look at her swimming in the pool. Isn't that so nice? Could you please relax on this floaty? I would love to see that. What a vibe. What a vibe. Look at that. Anyway, here in the living room, we just have a little bookcase. I don't think anyone reads really, but it's just more for decorations. And then there is a living room. I really like this logo setup with the neon sign and then the beams and the greenery. I felt like it really fit the style of this house or what I was going for. And then we have this couch. There's a TV where Sims can play some games. There's a couple of card games or the little Love Struck game here on the table for them to play. Over here is a little dance area. So there's a dance floor, some music, a fog machine. I think that's really nice. And then an indoor bar as well. And then a karaoke machine under here. I also love the accent of the neon light under the staircase. It just gives it a little bit of an extra touch. And there's a small hangout spot here by the window as well. Over here, one step down, is the kitchen. I continued the black and plum kind of color scheme that you can kind of see around other places as well. So I continued that in here. There is a dining table and then a kitchen where Sims can cook if they want to. I don't really know how often they will or they would, but it's nice to have it. And then obviously they have a coffee machine. There is a tea kettle here as well. Champagne, of course, that has to be around. So we have that. There's a bowl on the piano as well. I thought that was nice and dramatic when you first come into the house. Through this door over here is that little hallway that I wasn't sure what to do with, but it's just, you know, a little bit of storage here. And then there is a half bath over here as well that you could easily turn into a full bath, but I just didn't really want to do that. There's a storage closet, a foosball table, and then this is a bifold door out to the pool. And then a couple of steps down is the gym. I really like it. It's pretty iconic. for a build like this, I feel, to have a gym included. So it's a nice gym with a bunch of mirrors, weightlifting machines, basically just all your gym equipment. I would definitely swap out these two for the functional weights from Adventure Weights, obviously, and then maybe like a spin bike or two instead of maybe the weightlifting machines. Then through here is a bathroom slash dressing room kind of situation. We have a vanity set up, a space to, you know, just get in and out of your gym clothes. You can take a shower down here as well, and then there is a sauna, of course. And through this hallway here is a photo opportunity that I think is really fun. So I used the camera and a little mark thingy from Moschino for this, and the lights as well, and I think it works really well. So it'd be really fun to take some portraits, I feel. And then the hot tub outside, of course. Going upstairs, we have this really nice open ceiling kind of thing, or like balcony kind of moment to make the build look even more dramatic. And then there is a small landing here with that neon sign repeated, and for the rest there is nothing really up here. But this is where we have all the bedrooms. So the first one over here is by far the scariest, the leopard and black and red color scheme. These curtains by the beds are just, oh goodness. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, but you know, it's there. And they have a balcony where they can do a little bit of yoga out here. And then each room has essentially the same bathroom with just a sink, a toilet, and then a double walk-in shower. This room over here is the zebra and pink one. It has the same furniture set, just in a different color scheme. Each room also has this trunk, and then they also have that bathroom. Next to the pink zebra room is the purple giraffe room. I think this one's my favorite. I just really like these colors together. So yeah, it's a little bit more cutesy. They also have the trunk, and these mudroom wardrobes were so perfect for this house. They actually worked out so nicely. And then over here is a weirdly shared double tiger bedroom. I don't know what to make of this, but it is a double room. So yeah, there's that. They also have a trunk that I moved. I initially placed it here in the middle, but it was blocking the routing. So I just moved it here and sacrificed one of the heart tables. Of course, they also have that bathroom over here, but then that is actually it for this build. So if we were to start a getaway with Bella Goth as the host, I mean, she looks like she would make a great host, doesn't she? We could just go into the calendar. Let me turn off my reshade for this. And we could start a getaway by just clicking add getaway. And then we could actually choose our own residence, which right now is the Goth residence. Let's say we do it for 5 nights or whatever, maybe 6 nights even. And we'll start it now. You could even have it recur weekly and just do non-stop getaways. I feel like that would be kind of fun too. So when you plan the getaway, you could very easily just set up the romantic competition, and then boom, Bella is automatically set as the host because she lives here, which is perfect. And then it also says that Jane Addams is going to be the host. Not sure who that is, but sure, she can be a host too. Actually, no, we only need one. Bella can handle it by herself. And then we can have 8 singles, and it randomly assigned singles, but you can obviously change that if you want to. I would definitely invite Luke Danes. You know, that would be amazing. Marcus Flex. It only assigned 4, but we can have 8. So Kyle Kyleson, Luke Danes, Liberty Lee, and Eric? Sure. And then this preset comes with a schedule that you can obviously adjust to whatever you want to do. I'm not going to do that right now. I will check their activities right now. They have to be single, a young adult, adult, or elder, and they have to be a seasoned romantic single. I'm not sure what that means, but sure. And then I want them to not only be flirty, I want them to be romantic too. And I want them to mix and mingle, which means Sims will bond, cuddle, and try to build a romantic relationship. I think that is really funny. So that's just in general. And then in this schedule, I think they have like a significant time, yeah, to like use the hot tub and everything. I'm not sure why it says that the host also has to woohoo. I don't really think that I agree with that. I don't think I want that. The host is not going to be romantic with anyone. Let's just see actually. Yeah, and here it says they're going to be friendly, fix objects, and clean, which is what I want for them. But during the mix and mingle time at 8 p.m., I want them to just also join in on the hot tub and maybe like be friendly. At 5 p.m., we're just doing this backwards, but it's okay. At 5 p.m., the host is going to serve the meal and the singles are going to eat. Actually, let me go back to mix and mingle because I want the romantic host to tend the bar and I want the singles to not only use the hot tub, but also drink bar drinks. I think that would be really fun. And then for the rest of the day, they can just enjoy the outdoors, have breakfast at 8 a.m. where the host will serve it, and then at 1 a.m. they can sleep. That's perfect. And then for the additional rules, this is where you would have the romantic elimination, and it's just gonna go between the singles and obviously not the host. And then love is in the air, romance is blooming fast. Sims build romantic relationships faster with this rule and lose relationships slower, and that also goes for the singles, of course. You could also make it no strings attached, so what happens at the getaway stays at the getaway. That's funny, but also I feel like for romantic getaway, if you want some drama, maybe there should be jealousy there, you know? So that's how I think I would do it. And then it says the getaway is starting now. All right. So you can see that it's going to last until Monday, which is crazy. So there's going to be a whole week of craziness going on at Bella's house. And you can see here that we have the schedule all set up. It's currently 5 p.m. so it's actually half dinner time. And that's how you would set it up. So we currently have the getaway running. The schedule is going. Bella is hanging out. I have autonomy off. Maybe I should put autonomy on full right now, so she'll actually do the things that the host is supposed to do. But you can see the singles are just kind of hanging out. They're just kind of going around. Oh, by the way, for mix and mingle, I would probably also set like dancing and like listening to music, so they would do that. But I think right now they're on their way to the tub, and so is Bella. But yeah, all these Sims are going into the hot tub right now. This is so much fun. I've never seen this many people like using the hot tub at once. So it's kind of fun how that works, in my opinion. But anyway, we're not gonna play through this whole thing right now, but that's how you would set it up with your sim as the host. This Love Island inspired villa is up on the gallery as a residential lot. You can also set it as a custom venue, of course, if you want to do that and you have the new pack, then you could do that. I built it on a 40 by 30 on the Chief Stains Villa lot in Sulani. So if you want to place it in your game, then that's where it goes. But that's gonna do it for today's video. So I really hope that you enjoyed this one. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok if you'd like. My username on there is Simmary Sims. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!